Welcome to Brainstorms and Bottom Lines. This is the show for leaders, entrepreneurs, and high performers who know that success isn't just about the numbers. It's about your mindset, your health, and your ability to think under pressure. From strategy and leadership to resilience, recovery, and navigating life's toughest challenges. It's time to get to work with your host, award-winning business coach, author, and three-time brain tumor survivor, Rick Franzo.
And welcome to Brainstorms and Bottom Lines. I'm your host, Rick Franzo. With us today, Dr. Melody Schumann of the Schumann Group. Good afternoon, Melody. How are you?
Hi, Rick. I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. Thanks for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Yeah. So the Schumann Group, what do you guys do?
Well, I help small businesses obtain commercial loans, SBA loans, bank loans, lines of credit, things like that. And I do that by helping them write a business plan so that they have all the documentation they need to submit to a bank or other lender.
Why would somebody need a business plan to get a business loan?
Well, when you're asking a bank or other lender to lend you money, you need to tell them why you're going to use the money, how you're going to use the money, what you need it for, and what your current business is all about. Many lenders, especially SBA loan lenders, require a business plan. It's mandatory. They want to see your financials. They want to see how your business is run now. They want to see what your expertise is in the field of the business that you're running.
They don't want to make a bad mistake and just start giving out money and then nobody can actually pay it back, right?
That's correct. And the banks will take your application, but they have underwriters, just like you would have if you have a home mortgage, to check all your financials and your on-paper credibility. And then what the SBA does is guarantee the loans. They guarantee 75% of the loan, not the whole thing. So the bank is on the hook for the rest. And it's a partnership between the Small Business Administration and the bank or whatever lender you're going to.
So we'll get into more of the details about SBA loans and all that kind of stuff in a minute. I'd really like to know more about you and your background and why did you get into this type of a business? Start at the beginning, not when you're 3 years old, maybe, I don't know, 13, 23, whatever you want to do.
Well, my career in business began at AT&T. I won't tell you what year. However, it was when they started with the divestiture, when the government broke up the monopoly that was AT&T. I started there and I helped with the divestiture and taking the company apart and giving it to the competitors. It was very interesting. And I worked in various sectors in finance and marketing and product management in AT&T for 18 years.
Wow.
When I was there, I completed my MBA, and it came upon the year of 2003 where they were starting to offer packages for people to leave. And I thought this might be a good time. We don't know what's going to come next. If I don't grab a package now, I might never get one. So I grabbed a nice severance package with retraining money. And I thought, what should I do next? Well, I'd really like to be a teacher. I'd like to teach people what I know and help them in their businesses. So what I decided to do was become a high school business education teacher. And I got my teaching certificate. And I began working in high schools here in Pennsylvania, teaching personal finance, entrepreneurship, international business, all of those different finance and business courses that students would really need to get a leg up on their personal finances and to learn about business and how it works when they go to work for someone else or if they wanted to start their own business.
Very interesting. What happened after that?
Well, I decided that taking a retirement with my teacher pension was a good idea. I had grandkids and I wanted to spend more family time. So I retired. And within 2 or 3 years, I got really bored. I baked plenty of cookies and bread and had a garden, and it was great. But I was bored, and I really longed to have that interaction with other people to help them. And all the things that I learned how to do, I really still wanted to share that. I miss that.
Hmm. So you decided to form the Schumann Group?
I decided to start my own business. It was something in the back of my mind ever since I worked with consultants at AT&T. We brought in a lot of consultants to help with the divestiture of the parent company, and I really enjoyed working with those people. They brought a lot to the table, and I thought, I think I could put everything together that I've learned and that I've done, and maybe I could be one of those people that could help others. So I've started my own company, and here I am.
Excellent. Well, we're glad that you're here. Awesome. That's great. Why SBA loans and not the traditional loans that everybody kind of looks at? Like, what's the difference between going for an SBA loan and some other type of loan?
Well, I wanted to put my energy towards those kinds of loans because if you want to get a traditional loan and you're not asking for a lot of money, the bank doesn't ask for a lot of documentation necessarily. It's all basic documents like tax returns that you can give them. However, business owners really need expertise in the documentation process. They need a business plan writer who can help them articulate what it is they do, because they do it every day. They're good at it, but they don't necessarily know how to write it down in the format that a bank will look at and say, yeah, this is a viable business. I feel good giving them, letting them borrow money from us. Um, and there's also the fact of after say, you get a $3 million loan uh, guaranteed by the SBA, they're not just going to give you the money and go away and hope that you start paying your monthly payments. They they want to follow you and make sure that you're spending the money in the way that you said you were going to in your business plan. They want to know exactly what you're doing, what you're spending the money on, making sure that you don't spend it on personal items where you're not supposed to spend it on. And
Hmm.
there's a lot of after closing documentation and follow up that business owners may not want or have the time to take care of. So I'm, the one stop shop. I try to take all of the stress or as much of the stress out of it as possible so that they can just go and run their business.
What could they do with that loan? I mean, you had said they can't use it on personal things. So, what type of business things can they use it for? Can they use it to uh, for payroll? Can they use it to buy equipment? Like, what are some of the things traditionally that people utilize an SBA loan for?
Well, you said that the top three things right there.
Of course, I
Um,
did.
of course, you did. Yes, they can use it to buy equipment to in order to scale up their business, to provide a service that they weren't able to provide before without that equipment. They can use it for debt consolidation. They may have borrowed money before from several different places. They may have maxed out their credit cards trying to keep their business afloat. They can use that money to consolidate their business credit and get that equipment that they want. They can also use it to buy a commercial property. Say they're renting. They might be renting a warehouse that's costing them an awful lot of money every month. They can purchase a commercial property that they own. And with that commercial property, there might be rental units in that commercial property. They can use that as income as well towards the repayment of the loan. So that there's a lot of commercial things that they can do with a loan that wouldn't be prudent to use your personal finances for.
Mm, mm. So. what would I need to do if I wanted to get an SBA loan? What should I have prepared? What is it that you would need to craft the business plan to see about the fiscal viability for it? What are some things that I would need to do to work with you on this?
Well, we would need to get together, of course, and discuss the business and discuss the amount of the loan that you may be going for.
Hmm.
You may need more or you may need less than you think you need. So that's an important step. You'll need your last 3 years' business tax returns. You will also need a personal guarantee. Anyone who is a partner in the business who owns 20% or more of the business needs to provide 3 years of their personal tax returns as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes, so you need bank statements, um, and other documentation that every bank asks for different things. There's a lot of basics like the ones I just mentioned,
Hmm.
but we would get together and make sure that you can provide all of those things. And what I would do is write the business plan, gather your documentation, and we provide that to the bank on your behalf with you. At the same time, you hand in your loan application. So you don't go to the bank 5 different times to see what they need. You find out what they need, you get it together, and you submit it.
What if it's not my bank? So if I use a particular bank, do you have relationships with banks that it might be a little bit more seamless to get the loan? Or is that a good question? I'm not too sure. What do you think?
That's an excellent question. The first place to start would be the bank where you do your commercial or business banking and talk to them about what you'd like to do. Uh, with a traditional bank, you may get a very good interest rate. Depending on what kind of business you're in, you may opt to go get your financing somewhere else. There are lenders, all kinds of private lenders that you can submit uh, an application to get the loan. It also depends on how much money you need. If you need $50,000 or less, a private lender might be a more appropriate choice for you. If your credit rating isn't as good as a bank may require, you may pay a higher interest rate, but you may have an easier time getting a loan at a private lender.
So if you wanted to get any kind of loan, you do need a business plan. It would be a great idea to have that business plan put together with all the different components of the business plan. And we'll get to that in a second. You did say something interesting about credit scores. How important is a credit score? And this may seem like a silly question. Is there a threshold? Do you need over five, over six, over seven to apply for a loan such as this?
It's not a silly question at all. It's something that's in the back of everyone's mind when you go for a loan of any kind. Oh, what's my credit score? Gee, I haven't looked at it in a long time. A lot of business owners don't realize that you've got a business credit score and you have a personal credit score, and they're not always the same.
Mm.
To get a loan, you usually want to have at very least 650 credit score. Your business credit score comes from Dun and Bradstreet, and it's worth always knowing what that is. And it's free to know. You can get a Dunn's number, and that could be another podcast. But um, you have to look at both. They don't only look at the credit score. They look at all the other things combined, the information in your business plan, your personal financials, your debt to income ratio. They look at everything, but you would want to have at the very least a personal credit score of 650 or higher.
Okay. Dunn's number. We're gonna dig into that just for a second because that's kind of a new term that maybe some people haven't heard of. Dun and Bradstreet number, is that what that really would talk about, right?
Yes, it is. It gets
And
your
so,
it
yeah, how do you get one of those?
It's free. You go to Dun and Bradstreet and you ask for one, you apply for one. You can get it immediately and it costs you nothing. What it does is put your business up there on the business radar for business credit. And you can, you know, work on your profile. You can add things to your profile. You can make sure that there isn't a similar sounding business name out there that might be confusing, just like uh, regular personal credit. There could be someone
Hmm.
out there with, you know, Rick Smith, Rick, whoever. It could get confusing. There could be things on there that are incorrect. So it's always a good idea to get a DUNS number and make sure your business credit is as secure as your personal credit.
That's interesting. That's great information. Some common mistakes that people make with the application that can delay it or maybe even deny it. What do you think? What would they look like?
Possible mistakes or, omissions could be not mentioning your business partners.
Mm, yeah.
You have business partners. Anyone who owns 20% or more is considered, fair game on an application. They have to provide information as well. Unfortunately, for some people who are not U.S. citizens, they are not allowed to get SBA loans any longer. Um, President Trump put some kind of qualifications on there so that anybody, you have to be a U.S. citizen to get an SBA loan. You can't have a green card. You can't have any other kind of temporary citizenship. So what that does for, United States citizens is it helps people who are citizens out a little bit more to narrow down the playing field so that, they can get loans as well. But for now, if you're not a citizen, you cannot get a loan. Um, Other things are, mentioning all your credit that you have, personal and business otherwise. Um, every SBA lender has a different application process, but most banks will show you the application before you apply, so that you can read it, know what they want, get that together, and then sit down and fill out the application.
Mm. And how far in advance should we start to prepare for this if we want to get a loan maybe in a year? How long before we want to do that should we start to really more than think about it, but to do some preparation for it? Like how much time does it take?
Your preparation for an SBA loan should occur at least 3 to 6 months before you intend to apply. Getting paperwork together might take longer than you think. And also, there's busy times of the year as well. A lot of times people want to get their loan before the end of the year. So August, September tends to flood applications into SBA lenders.
Mm, that makes sense. One question business owners should be asking lenders, but oftentimes that they don't. One question that they should be asking lenders, but oftentimes they don't. Any idea?
That's a very good question. Um, if I was going for an SBA loan, I would make sure that I had, what does your contract look like? Because I have heard horror stories of people going to lenders that are not banks, that are online lenders. I
Mm,
don't have any names. However, they will, reel you in with like an adjustable rate mortgage type of thing, like a personal mortgage would, and then you've got a balloon payment in 2 years and you can't afford it. I would absolutely encourage them to get a copy of a contract and pass it by their attorney before they sign anything.
good advice. Good advice. So, if anybody wants to connect with you and learn more about your services and SBA loans, how would they do that?
Well, I have a website, drschumann.org. It's DRSCHUMANN.org. My cell phone number is 610-451-6843. You can give me a call. I have an office in downtown Bangor. We can meet up there. It's 110 Pennsylvania Avenue, Suite 102 in Bangor. Or we can meet virtually on a Zoom call, whatever's convenient for you. However you like to be contacted and talked to, we'll do it your way.
And Bangor is in Pennsylvania for all of our listeners around the country and around the world. Pennsylvania, the Keystone State. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much, Dr. Melody, for joining us. And we will have all Dr. Melody's information on the podcast itself. This was a pleasure. Again, thank you so much for joining us. And, we appreciate all the information.
Great. Thank you for having me, Rick.
Excellent. And this has been Brainstorms and Bottom Lines. And we'll see you next time. Stay gold. Peace.